I think that's another thing about to note about MOBAs, like League and Dota. I think this is true in Dota as well. Is MOBAs are built around to some degree the idea of play and counterplay, right? Which is good. It's like, hey, I can dodge these things. Hey, I can play against this thing. Hey, you do this, I do that, right? And that's all well and good. But another thing that MOBAs are built around is the idea of snowballing and individual champion strengths, which are also important to make the game pretty fun. And so, like, as an example, in League, when you get enough items, your counterplay goes away, especially if you're ahead of certain people. It is very, very possible to be in states where it's like, I'm so far ahead that it doesn't matter if I miss, I'm still strong. And that's okay, that's an okay thing, you know, within reason. And so, part of a game like League or like Dota is like, you know, part of it is like, hey, we have this interesting fight and we counterplay each other. And part of it's also like, I'm an assassin, I got ahead, here's who I beat, here's who I don't beat. I'm an AD carry, I got ahead, here's who I beat, here's who I don't beat. And so there's also this very important part of like class interaction in games like League, where certain classes are just going to have advantage against other classes. Certain characters are going to have advantages when they're played with others. It's like, hey, here's this AD carry, they're good here, they're bad here. But then if they have a Janna, now they're good here, and potentially bad somewhere else, like engaging and things like that. So like the character interactions also matter, where it's like, hey, if you're an AD carry and you don't have a support protecting you, that's going to make life harder if the enemy team has an assassin. Versus if you're an AD carry and you don't have a support protecting you because they're diving the enemy team, and the enemy team doesn't have an assassin, that might be good for you because you don't need the protection, and now you can like follow up on the others engage, right? So each game is different in terms of their team composition, what that means for where things are going to be hard for you and where things are going to be easy. And it's not super important that every single situation you run into has counterplay. It's important that characters on average have counterplay. And, you know, different things that are strong have different ways to prevent them from being strong. But in any given game, I think one of the good things about MOBA is you can get into states where it's like, oh, I'm Rengar, I'm godlike right now, but not in this other situation. And I'm Vayne, I'm godlike right now, but not in this other situation.